Hi and welcome to my review of A Chorus Line. This show started previews on the 5th of February and it actually had its press night last night, which I imagine would have been really interesting to go to. I went to one of the last previews of A Chorus Line. I went on the Saturday the 16th matinee. I think that would make it like the 13th preview, something like that. And I was really excited because the guy who stands here is Harry Francis, and he plays Mark. And if you didn't know, I love Harry. I saw him as IQ on the Hairspray tour like 9 times, and then I was lucky enough to go see him in Wicked as ensemble, and then I also got to see him go on because he was second cover for Bach, so I got to see his second performance of that, which was really good. And I was really pleased when he told me he got chorus line because he'd done it in Tel Aviv, and yeah, I was just really excited for this because he's such a brilliant dancer that this role and this show is just perfect for him. He's also the first cover for Mike, so hopefully I shall be going back and getting to see him at this point. The cast, though, out of like big names, I suppose you could say, John Partridge plays Zach, the casting director dude, and you know him from EastEnders, but I also know him because I saw him in Miss Saigon tour a few years ago. Also, another name is Lee Zimmerman from America. She plays Sheila, and her character is quite a brassy, strong, overconfident woman, and Zach, the role of Zach, he sort of takes her down a peg or two and makes her talk about herself. And who else is it? Oh yeah, Scarlett Strallen. Oh fuck, I'm going to put my phone on silent. Scarlett Strallen is also in the cast. She plays Cassie, and Victoria Hamilton Barrett plays Diana. Not that I can really comment on Scarlett and Victoria, because on the day I went I had like 4 understudies on. My understudies were, at this performance, the role of Cassie, usually played by Scarlett Strallen, will be played by Lucy Jane Adcock. Lucy's the second cover for the role, and the Saturday matinee was actually her debut, so I felt very privileged to be seeing that. The role of Diana, usually played by Victoria Hamilton Barrett, will be played by Georgie Ashford. Georgie is the first cover for the role of Diana, and it was also her debut in the role. The role of Val, usually played by Rebecca Hurstenholm, will be played by Genevieve Nicole. And for Val, Genevieve is actually the 3rd cover for the role. And it was also her first time in the role because the previous night Scarlett Strallen had injured herself and hadn't been able to go on and do the show, so Genevieve, who was the first cover for Cassie, had to go on the Friday night as Cassie, and so Saturday matinee when I went I got Lucy Jane Adcock, and then the role of Judy, usually played by Lucy Jane Adcock, will be played by Alice Jane Murray, and Alice Jane Murray is the second cover for that role as well, so quite a few varied understudies. I asked Harry why like second and third covers were getting the chance to go on so early on, because it's so unusual. And then he said it was basically there'd been a lot of injuries and they wanted to get all the the majority of the understudies used to their roles. Like, they've been doing cover runs, but not but some of them haven't had a chance, like he hasn't had a chance to go on as Mike yet, and there's a couple of others who haven't had a chance to go on for their roles. And yeah, so that's why I had so many understudies on, apparently. Apparently Scarlett and Victoria were back for the evening show because they had a critic in, so they were obviously wanting to be fit and well for that. And yeah, my thoughts on Chorus Line are basically I loved it. I mean, I love like dancey shows where I can just sit and watch and go, oh my god, It's all, you know, I mean, they're all in a line, and you can see how injuries happen because it's like each one has a song to sing, and it's all about waiting their turn, and obviously when they're just stood there, they're cooling down, their bodies are cooling down, so then when all of a sudden they have to get back into dance mode, that's how the injuries are occurring. But yeah, loved the show, loved the dancing, some of the singing was excellent. I really loved Lucy Jane Adcock as Cassie. She was like very, very vulnerable. I think if I'd seen Scarlett, I would have struggled to pick up on the vulnerability side, because Scarlett, she's just one of those kind of extrovert kind of characters. I don't think I would have. I really felt for Cassie when Zach was giving her a hard time and like telling her that she was too good to be in the chorus, and she was desperate to do it. And then, oh my god, Genevieve Nicola's vow. I don't know how the principal girl plays her, but I honestly don't think Genevieve could have done any better. She was hilarious. She's got this number called Dance 10 Looks 3, but the rest of the cast know it as Tits and Ass, and it was just hilarious. Everybody was in hysterics, and like all throughout the show, you know, she'd come out with this one line, "When am I gonna grow tits?" And yeah, absolutely hilarious. Georgie Ashford, she was good as Diana, and I really liked her. I liked all of them. I like how it's a big ensemble piece, and although there is a slight leaning towards the character of Cassie and like Zach, it doesn't really focus on one particular person, it focuses on them all. The guy who plays Mike is really amazing. Where's he? I can't find him now. Mike. Where's Mike? Seriously, where is he? Jesus, where is he? Oh, Adam Salter. He plays Mike, and he's one of the first ones to sing, and he's quite funny as well. Like, Zach has them all stood in a line, and he basically wants them to talk, not to act, not to dance, not to sing. He wants them to talk about themselves, and for some of them it's really hard to do. And Mike's like, I don't want to talk. And they were like, Zach's like, why? He goes, well, I'd be a lot more confident if you started at the end, because Mike's sort of like 2 or 3 guys in. But then he does his song, and then he does all these backflips and stuff, which is really amazing to watch. And Harry said to me, when I go on for Mike, I don't do backflips. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, but I don't do backflips. So I should be interested to see what he does that's different. There's also Gary Wood. I liked Gary Wood's character of Paul. He's like this young man who is very troubled, and he started off kind of like in a dodgy way in showbiz. He's like a drag queen or something, and he has a bit of a hard life. He tells about his hard life really, and it's a moment where you want to well up and cry, and then something happens to him towards the end of the show, and then you're like, oh no! Set is very basic. It's meant to be like a bare, empty stage, and then mirrors come on occasionally for them to dance in front of, and then at the end there's like the big glitz and the glamour, and they're all in the top hats and the tailcoats, and everything's shiny and glittery, and it looks amazing. There's also like quite a dark moment in the show at one point. Like I say, there's something that happens to one of the characters, and then it makes Zach ask the question, you know, what would you do in the future if you couldn't dance, kind of thing. And then everyone's just like, oh yeah, I'd get into acting, and I'd do something else, and yeah, it sort of, Harry said it made him think, you know, what would he do if he couldn't dance. And speaking of Harry, because I will, and I have been, I know, Harry was good. He plays an 18-year-old young boy called Mark, and he has a part of a monologue on his own, and it's basically he's got this when he was younger he had this medical book and he was like diagnosing himself. Very, very funny. He plays like one of the youngest characters in the show. He plays an 18-year-old, and when he's like, I'm 18 and I've never been on a Broadway show, but if you employ me I'll work really, really hard, and the cast are like, ugh, 18, ugh. And yeah, I just love him. He's got such a cheeky face. Who else is it? Oh, Alexandra Sarmiento plays Connie, and she's like this Asian character, and she's really good. She states her age at the beginning, but then she doesn't, like, she reveals her actual age towards the end of the show, and it's like, you've been caught. These are women, like I say, she's bold and brassy and quite classy. Loved her. I loved them all. They were all fantastic, and I really can't wait to go again. I'm hoping to maybe sneak in a trip to a Wednesday matinee soon, probably the 13th of March. I'm going to try and get an early train and do the day seat thing, because I went and I actually paid a full price ticket for the previews. I paid like £55 for L5, but from what I gather the day seats are not front row for the chorus line at the Palladium, because some people I've seen have got like Royal Circle and, you know, all over the place. So I'm going to try my luck and see what I get. So yeah, can't wait. I think it's well worth going to see. It doesn't have an interval, so word of advice, don't do what I did and sit and drink a bottle of water 10 minutes before the show, because then you're in absolute agony for the next 2 hours, bursting for a pee. Like, there's no interval. Harry told me like straight away that there's no interval, and I was like, oh, that'll be interesting. And he's like, yeah, it makes it more interesting for us when there's no interval. And he's like, some of us just randomly walk on and off the stage so that we can go and go to the toilet. And he's like, so, you know, if you see me going off and then coming back about 5 minutes later, it's because I've needed to use the loo. Gary Wood's done it to me loads of times, he said. But yeah, it kind of keeps it short though, because like the things, matinees start at 3 and then they're over like by 5, and then I think the evening show's like 7:45, and so then that means they're over by 10:15, so that's really early get out time really. But I suppose it's nice for them, they can make a quick dash home, they don't get waylaid at the stage door. Oh yeah, go and see Chorus Line, because it's just brilliant, and it's reading the reviews this morning, it's got some brilliant reviews, which it deserves, and it deserves to run. I know it's been extended to January 2014 already. It would be nice if it would extend longer than that, but from what I hear there's loads of other shows wanting to come in as well, so fingers crossed it has a good life.